Deep in the dense, unforgiving thicket of the Lake Chad Basin, a shadow that haunted the world was finally cornered. For years, the name of this ISIS commander struck terror across West Africa, but in a single, surgical strike, his reign ended. How did the Nigerian military, working in total secrecy with American intelligence, execute a mission so precise it bypassed every defense? This is the untold story of the night the hunters became the hunted in the heart of Africa. When the American president took to the microphones to declare the operation a success, the world stopped to listen. The narrative of global security was being rewritten in real time. He praised the precision of the strike and the vital role of the Nigerian partners. For Nigeria, this was a moment of immense pride mixed with heavy scrutiny. Was this a turning point in a decade-long war, or just a temporary victory in an unending cycle of violence in the Sahel? Who was the man they called the Ghost of the Sahel? For over a decade, extremist factions had exploited the porous borders of the Lake Chad region, carving out a caliphate built on fear and local recruitment. This leader wasn't just a figurehead, he was a master of logistics and psychological warfare. His removal was meant to decapitate a movement that had displaced millions. But as we look closer, the mission reveals the terrifying scale of the insurgency threatening Nigeria's sovereignty. The geography of the mission is as treacherous as the enemies themselves. The Lake Chad Basin is a sprawling labyrinth of marshes, islands, and shifting sands, where the borders of Nigeria, Chad, Niger, and Cameroon blur into one. For an insurgent, it is a perfect fortress. For a conventional army, it is a nightmare. To find one man in this vast, watery wilderness required more than just brute force. It required a level of surveillance technology never before seen here. In the weeks leading up to the raid, Nigerian special forces underwent rigorous preparation. These men, the elite of the elite, were trained to operate in total silence. They were equipped with night vision goggles and advanced weaponry, blending traditional bushcraft with modern warfare. Their training took place in secluded camps far from the prying eyes of informants. Every move was calculated, every possible outcome simulated. They knew that if the target escaped, the window of opportunity might never open again. Information is the most valuable currency in the bush. Intelligence analysts in Abuja and Washington monitored encrypted communications and satellite imagery for months. They were looking for a needle in a haystack, a specific electronic signature or a recurring courier route. It was a painstaking process of elimination. One wrong lead could result in a diplomatic disaster or the loss of elite troops. Finally, a high-level informant within the insurgent group provided the final piece of the puzzle, a location. The relationship between the United States and Nigeria has often been complicated, marked by periods of tension and cooperation. This mission, however, represented a high-water mark for their military alliance. While the US provided the high-altitude surveillance and technical support, it was the Nigerian forces who would provide the boots on the ground. This division of labor was crucial. It respected national sovereignty while leveraging the unique strengths of a global superpower to combat a shared and deadly enemy. High above the clouds, silent drones circled the target area like mechanical vultures. Their infrared cameras peered through the canopy of the Sambisa forest, tracking heat signatures in the dead of night. They saw things the human eye could not: the movement of sentries, the heat from a cooking fire, and the arrival of a high-value convoy. This digital eye in the sky ensured that the ground team would never be surprised. The hunters were watching, and the target was oblivious. The night of the raid was moonless, providing the perfect cover for the insertion. Low-flying helicopters hummed through the air, their noise masked by the natural sounds of the African night. The teams descended on ropes into a clearing miles away from the target, beginning a grueling trek through the undergrowth. Every snap of a twig felt like a gunshot. They moved in a single file, eyes glued to their night vision displays, breathing in the humid air of the Borno State wilderness. Tactical movement in the bush is an art form. The Nigerian soldiers used the terrain to their advantage, crawling through tall elephant grass and navigating swampy inlets. They knew that the extremists often used landmines and tripwires to protect their camps. One soldier, the point man, scanned the ground with a handheld detector while others provided 360-degree security. The adrenaline was high, but the discipline was higher. They were now within 2 kilometers of the insurgent leader's hidden woodland compound. Suddenly, the silence was shattered. A sentry had spotted a shadow that didn't belong. Muzzle flashes lit up the darkness as the compound erupted into chaos. The Nigerian Special Forces didn't hesitate. They executed a pre-planned flanking maneuver, suppressing the enemy fire with overwhelming force. In the center of the camp, the target attempted to flee toward a waiting vehicle. It was a race against time. The commandos pushed forward, their training taking over as they cleared hut after hut in the burning compound. The aftermath was a scene of devastation. Smoke rose from the remnants of the insurgent base, curling into the early morning sky. The Nigerian team secured the perimeter, accounting for their own and assessing the enemy casualties. There was no time for celebration. They had a specific objective to confirm. They moved toward the main structure, a reinforced bunker disguised as a common dwelling. Inside, they found the evidence they needed. The reign of one of the world's most wanted men was over. Identification was a grim but necessary task. Using biometric scanners and rapid DNA testing kits provided by their American partners, the team confirmed the identity of the fallen leader within minutes. The data was beamed back to Abuja and then to the Pentagon. The confirmation was 100%. This wasn't just a low-level commander, it was a key strategist responsible for the radicalization of thousands. His death sent a clear message: there was no corner of the desert where they could hide. The political fallout was immediate and widespread. In Nigeria, the news was met with a mixture of relief and renewed debate about the presence of foreign military assets on sovereign soil. Critics questioned the level of American involvement, while supporters hailed the mission as a masterclass in modern counterterrorism. For the Nigerian government, it was a much-needed victory in a conflict that had seen many setbacks. It proved that with the right resources and intelligence, the tide of terror could be turned. To understand the significance of this kill, one must understand the rise of ISWAP, the Islamic State West Africa province. Emerging from a fractured Boko Haram, this group sought to build a more organized and lethal insurgency. They didn't just burn villages, they tried to govern them, collecting taxes and providing a twisted form of justice. This made them far more dangerous and harder to uproot. The leader killed in this mission was the architect of this strategy, the brain behind the expansion. For the ordinary people of northern Nigeria, the insurgency isn't a headline, it's a daily reality. Farmers have been driven from their lands, and schools have been turned into barracks. Every time a major leader is removed, there is a flicker of hope that the roads will become safe again and the markets will stay open. This mission was for them. It was about reclaiming the peace that had been stolen by those who used faith as a weapon for power and control. The world of special operations is defined by what remains unsaid. Many details of this mission will remain classified for decades. We may never know the names of the pilots who flew the helicopters or the operators who breached the compound. They live in the shadows by choice, knowing that their success is measured by the silence that follows their work. But the impact of their actions is felt globally, disrupting the recruitment pipelines and financial networks that keep ISIS alive. Technology was the silent partner in this raid. From the satellite uplinks to the encrypted radios, the mission showcased the evolution of the Nigerian military's capabilities. Over the last decade, significant investment has been made in modernized hardware and specialized training. While the enemy uses guerrilla tactics, the state responded with surgical precision. This transition from conventional warfare to targeted special operations has become the standard for modern conflict in the Sahel, where the enemy is often invisible until they strike. Nigeria's role as a regional anchor cannot be overstated. As the most populous nation and the largest economy in Africa, its stability is the key to the entire continent's security. When Nigeria succeeds in a mission like this, it strengthens the resolve of neighboring countries like Niger and Chad. It demonstrates that African nations are capable of taking the lead in their own defense, using international partnerships to augment their strength rather than replace it. Abuja is the fortress of West African democracy. The death of a top ISIS leader has global implications. It disrupts the chain of command and forces the organization to go into hiding, slowing their momentum. International security experts argue that while one man's death doesn't end an ideology, it severely hampers operational capacity. It breaks the aura of invincibility that extremist groups try to project. When a leader can be plucked from his deepest stronghold, it plants a seed of doubt in the minds of his followers and would-be recruits. However, history warns us about the fog of war and the nature of hydra-headed organizations. In the past, the killing of one leader has often led to the rise of a more radical successor. Skeptics point out that until the underlying issues of poverty, lack of education, and border security are addressed, the vacuum left by one commander will inevitably be filled. The mission was a tactical masterpiece, but the strategic war for the hearts and minds of the people continues. As we look to the future, the lessons from this US-Nigerian mission are clear. Intelligence sharing is the most potent weapon in the modern arsenal. The era of massive ground invasions is being replaced by small, agile teams and high-tech surveillance. But for the soldiers on the ground, the reality remains the same, a dangerous job in a beautiful land. They continue to patrol the borders and protect the villages, knowing that the next mission could be just around the corner. The story of this raid is more than just a military success, it is a testament to what is possible when nations work together against a common threat. It highlights the bravery of the Nigerian troops who faced the fire and the sophistication of the intelligence that guided them. While the headlines may fade, the impact of that night in the Lake Chad Basin will be felt for years. It is a reminder that even in the darkest shadows, the light of justice can find its way. As the sun sets over the Sahel, the quiet returns to the marshes. The mission was a victory, but the struggle for a peaceful Nigeria is a marathon, not a sprint. The ghost of the Sahel is gone, but the spirit of resilience among the Nigerian people remains stronger than ever. They are the true heroes of this story, standing firm against the tide of extremism, waiting for the day when the only news from the Lake Chad Basin is news of peace.